You ever wonder why a man in his late 40 seconds can walk into a room, barely say a word, and suddenly all the eyes, including hers, are on him? Meanwhile, you're texting, trying, doing all the right things, and getting silence in return. That's because attraction isn't about looks, it's not about money, and it's definitely not about how much effort you put in. It's about energy, control, mystery, presence, the kind of presence most men only discover with age or with brutal heartbreak. If you're a man in your 30 seconds, 40 seconds, or even 50 seconds, you've probably been told you're too serious, too intense, or too hard to read. But here's the twist. That's exactly what turns her on. The moment you stop chasing, apologizing, and pleasing, that's when you become magnetic. Women don't obsess over the guy who gives them everything. They obsess over the one they can't quite figure out. The one who disappears, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who doesn't need her but makes her feel needed. This video will show you how to tap into that version of yourself. The version that doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't chase, yet she can't stop thinking about you. Let's get into it. Tricks number 1. The stillness that drives her wild. Stillness isn't just silence. It's not you sitting around doing nothing or pretending to be chill while your mind is on fire. Stillness is a presence, a controlled, grounded energy. And here's the part most men miss: women feel that. They sense it, and it triggers something ancient in them, an almost primal curiosity. Let me tell you about Mark. He's 52, recently divorced, and just started dating again after nearly 2 decades off the market. One night he's out at a wine bar in Austin, casual, laid-back vibe. Across the bar is Jessica, 38, high-powered marketing exec, used to being the one in control. Their eyes meet. Now Mark doesn't rush in. He doesn't crack a joke or send over a drink. He simply holds eye contact, calm, collected, zero anxiety. That alone, that stillness, it made her walk over to him. Why? Because stillness signals something deeper than confidence. It signals mastery. A man who doesn't need to impress is a man who knows he doesn't have to. And that's exactly what women, especially emotionally mature women, crave. When you're still, you're unpredictable. And unpredictability within boundaries is a powerful driver of attraction. Most guys talk too much. They overshare. They fill the silence with noise because they're uncomfortable with it. But every time you over-explain, over-text, or overcompensate, you leak power. And power is what she's looking for. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. He once wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." That's stillness. It's a quiet strength, a steady mind. A man who doesn't flinch when she tests him, and believe me, she will test you. Now, some men confuse stillness with apathy. Big mistake. Stillness isn't about detachment from her, it's about detachment from outcome. Whether she laughs, stays, walks away, or ghosts you, you remain the same. Calm, whole, solid. You don't chase because what you want doesn't come from outside you. And that's magnetic. Here's what's wild. When you stop chasing a reaction, you often get the one you wanted all along. Because she doesn't want to be the center of your world. She wants to orbit around your world. She wants to feel pulled in by your gravity, not pushed away by your neediness. Stillness shows up in the small moments. When she doesn't reply for hours and you don't double text. When she asks, "What are you thinking?" and you smile without answering. When she tries to get a rise out of you and you remain unfazed. That's where the power island. Not in the noise, in the non-reaction. And the truth, most men can't handle that kind of silence. They mistake it for rejection. But a man who has mastered stillness sees it as space. Space for her to come forward. Space for her to want you. So the next time you feel that itch to do something, send a message, break the silence, explain yourself, pause. Let the stillness speak louder than words. Let her feel your calm, your control, your center. Because stillness, real stillness, is the kind of presence that drives her wild. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and finish this sentence: I own my stillness. And trust me, what we're about to dive into next might just change the way you see every conversation you've ever had with a woman. Don't go anywhere. Tricks number 2. Mystery turns her on. Let's face it, the minute a woman thinks she's figured you out, she's already halfway out the door. Mystery isn't just some pickup artist gimmick. It's ancient, it's primal, and it's magnetic. When you give her all the answers, you take away the very thing that keeps her engaged, the unknown. Now think about this. When's the last time she asked you, "What are you thinking?" That question alone reveals everything. She wants the puzzle. She wants the depth. She wants to feel like there's more to you than what you show the world. The problem is, most men today have been trained to overshare, to constantly explain themselves, to wear their hearts and their insecurities on their sleeves, hoping that vulnerability will translate into intimacy. But it doesn't, not when it's unearned. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." When you're constantly trying to manage how she sees you, you're not being mysterious, you're being needy. Control your frame, control your energy. That's where the mystery lives. Mystery isn't about lying or pretending. It's about restraint. It's about choosing not to reveal everything. Not because you're hiding, but because not everything needs to be said. Some things are better felt than explained. That quiet confidence, it makes her lean in. She wants to decode you. Here's what mystery does for you. It forces her to fill in the blanks with desire. The less you say, the more her mind wanders. And when her mind starts to wander, that's when emotional tension builds. That's when attraction deepens. There's a reason why the brooding, calm, collected man gets her imagination running wild. He's not cold. He's composed. He's not uninterested. He's selective. And that contrast from the rest of the noise, that's powerful. The Stoics were masters of this. They spoke little, observed more, and acted with intent. Epictetus once noted, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply that in your connection with women. Let her speak. Let her wonder. Don't always be the one filling in the silence. That silence, that presence, it speaks volumes. Look, women are emotional detectives. They feel your vibe long before you say a word. If your presence is calm, grounded, self-contained, you become intriguing. And when a man is intriguing, a woman invests. So stop giving away the whole plot in the first chapter. Let her earn each page. Let her experience your depth layer by layer. That's how you become unforgettable, not just another guy who talked too much and felt too little. Now I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments, something simple and strong. Just type, "I choose mystery." And if you're enjoying this breakdown of female psychology through the lens of Stoicism, stick around. What's coming next? Let's just say it might flip everything you thought you knew. Let's keep going. Tricks number 3. Less attention, more desire. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood dynamics in male-female attraction, the paradox of attention. The more attention you flood her with texts, compliments, check-ins, the less she craves it. The less you give, the more she starts to wonder, lean in, and chase. It sounds counterintuitive, especially if you grew up thinking love is about showing how much you care. But when it comes to attraction, desire doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in curiosity. Let me break it down for you. Attention is a form of energy. And when you pour it into someone who hasn't earned it, or worse, isn't reciprocating it, you're signaling a lack of self-control. You're saying, "You're more important than my peace." And that's not sexy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. When you stop constantly reaching out, checking in, or validating her with every text, you start reclaiming your presence. That space creates wonder. That mystery creates magnetism." Here's the reality. A woman can't desire what's always available. If she can predict your next move, she won't be surprised. And without surprise, there's no emotional spike. Without that emotional spike, you're just another safe guy, reliable, yes, but forgettable. Now picture this. Jason, 52, divorced, solid career, decent looks. He starts dating Mia, 41, a sharp, witty woman who's used to being chased. At first, Jason is everything she expects, attentive, sweet, always texting back within minutes. But something shifts. Mia starts pulling away. Why? Not because Jason did anything wrong, but because he did too much right. He removed the uncertainty. He killed the tension. He gave her the full buffet before she even felt hunger. Now imagine Jason did this instead. He texted back, not instantly, but intentionally. He didn't always initiate. He stayed warm, but grounded in his own life, not orbiting hers. That contrast, that's what makes a woman lean in. It makes her wonder, what's he up to? Is he thinking about me? Why isn't he texting? That curiosity becomes desire. That distance becomes attraction. The truth is, when you give a woman less attention, not in a manipulative way, but in a measured, self-respecting way, you become more valuable. You stop being the guy who's always waiting, and you become the man she wants to catch up to. This doesn't mean being cold, it means being selective. Don't give energy to someone who hasn't shown they value it. Let your attention be earned, not handed out like candy on Halloween. That's what separates boys from men. Seneca said it best. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Every time you obsess over when she'll text back, you're wasting that time. You're leaking power. Reclaim it. Fill your day with your own purpose, your own rhythm. Don't let someone's silence be louder than your direction. Now this is where it gets real. If you're always available, always attentive, always showing up in her inbox first, she doesn't need to wonder. She doesn't need to reach. And if she doesn't reach, she never invests. And without investment, attraction dies. So pull back, not to punish, but to protect your energy. Focus on yourself. Build mystery. Live a life that doesn't revolve around her, and you'll be surprised how fast she starts spinning around you. If this is hitting home, I want you to drop this in the comments right now. I hold my frame. Say it out loud. Write it below. Claim it. And if this part of the video got you thinking, just wait. What I'm about to show you next might just flip your entire approach to women on its head. Stay with me. Tricks number 4. The power of sexual restraint. Most men chase instant gratification, especially when it comes to women, but the man who holds back, who doesn't immediately act on every impulse, that man becomes unforgettable. And this is exactly why sexual restraint is one of the most powerful psychological tools an older man can master. In a world that rewards speed, pausing can be provocative. You see, when a man doesn't immediately jump at every opportunity, it signals control, discipline, and confidence. Women pick up on that. It's not about withholding affection or playing manipulative games. It's about owning your energy. When you demonstrate that you don't need to pursue it, creates tension, and tension builds desire. This isn't just theory, it's deeply wired into female psychology. A woman's attraction isn't just physical, it's emotional, intellectual, and yes, psychological. And nothing stimulates that part of her brain more than a man who can restrain himself at the height of temptation. The Stoics taught that self-control is the ultimate strength. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This applies in life, in conflict, and in romance. The man who can hold his line when things get heated or tempting, who can pause before reacting, is the man who commands respect and arouses deeper curiosity. In a culture that often mistakes restraint for rejection, you must understand this distinction. You're not avoiding connection, you're elevating it. You're not shutting her down, you're challenging her to rise to your level. You're not cold, you're composed. Let's bring this down to the bedroom, or rather, before it. When you're constantly available, when you rush things, when you initiate every single time, you strip away the intrigue. You dilute the anticipation. You remove the very tension that heightens chemistry. But when you know how to step back, hold eye contact without leaning in, speak calmly without pushing, and even walk away without needing to seal the deal, you become a rare experience in her life. You become unforgettable, not for what you do, but for what you don't do. And here's the kicker: when she realizes you're capable of restraint, it flips something inside her. It tells her that you're not just in control of your desires, you're in control of your life. That's the kind of man she wants to surrender to, not out of pressure, but out of irresistible intrigue. So what can you do right now? Start by becoming aware of your patterns. Are you chasing the high of validation, or are you moving from intention? Are you acting out of fear she'll lose interest, or are you confident enough to let the space build desire? Remember, desire grows in silence. Tension deepens in pause. And a man who can sit comfortably in both is a man she will think about long after the moment passes. Now let's make this practical. The next time you're with her, don't make the first move. Let the tension rise. Let the silence speak. Let her lean in, and when she does, you'll know you've just shown her something most men never do. If you're serious about becoming the kind of man women crave, not for a moment but for a lifetime, join our members-only program. We dive deep into emotional control, sexual energy, and stoic mastery for modern men. The link is below. You know what to do. Before you scroll, drop a comment if this speaks to you. Just write, "I choose discipline." And if you think that was powerful, wait until you see how the next trait silently makes her obsessed. Let's keep going. Tricks number 5. Master the silence game. Let me tell you something. Most men get wrong. Silence isn't passive. It's not weakness. And it's definitely not giving up. It's strategy. It's power. It's the unspoken tension that pulls a woman in more than 1,000 compliments ever could. We're trained to believe that silence means disinterest, that if you don't fill the space with words, she'll move on. But women don't respond to constant attention the way you think they do. In fact, the more predictable and accessible you are, the less desire you create. Here's what you have to understand. Attraction isn't built in comfort, it's built in contrast. She desires what's uncertain, what's slightly out of reach, and silence. Silence makes space for her mind to wander about you. Picture this. Kevin, 47, recently divorced, starts dating again. He meets Angela, 38, at a wine tasting. Great connection, lots of laughs, strong eye contact. But after that night, Kevin plays it safe. He texts good morning, he texts at lunch, he texts before bed, all within the first 3 days. Angela, she pulls back, responds slower. Kevin panics, doubles down. You know what happens next. She disappears. Now contrast that with Daniel, 55, widowed, 5 years, quiet confidence in his walk. He meets Maya, 41, during a hiking group. They click. He gives her just enough. A text the next evening, not the next morning. He waits. She leans in. She starts texting him first. Why? Because Daniel lets the silence work for him. He doesn't overfill it. He doesn't seek reassurance. He trusts in his presence, and that makes him magnetic. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Most men waste it chasing, explaining, oversharing. But a Stoic man uses silence as a filter. It reveals who truly values your presence without you having to prove anything. Silence is also a mirror. It reflects your internal strength. It shows that you're not desperate to be heard just to feel validated, that you don't fear losing her attention because you're rooted in your own worth. And when a woman senses that, she starts to chase that calm, that mystery. And don't mistake this for playing games. You're not trying to manipulate. You're simply refusing to beg for connection. You're letting desire build in the space between messages, between meetups, between the noise. You're inviting her to lean forward, to wonder what you're thinking, what you're doing. That's the foundation of seduction, not performance, but presence. The truth is, if she's genuinely interested, silence won't push her away. It'll draw her curiosity. If it doesn't, then that silence gave you your answer without you having to say a word. And remember, silence isn't just not texting, it's also not oversharing, not rushing to explain your emotions, not filling every moment with conversation. It's in the pause, the eye contact, the thoughtful nod, the subtle smile. These are louder than any pickup line ever written. So the next time you're tempted to send that double text to explain your silence, to ask why she's been distant, don't. Wait, watch, breathe, and trust. If you've ever stayed quiet and watched her come back on her own, or if you're now realizing how powerful silence can be, drop it in the comments with a simple statement. Say, I hold the silence. And if this clicked for you, just wait till you see how the next trait older men master drives women crazy in ways they can't even explain. You'll want to stick around for that. Tricks number 6. Her emotions, your calm. There's a moment every man faces in a relationship when she gets emotional, intense, maybe even irrational. And that moment, it's the test, not of her but of you, of your strength, your presence, your self-mastery. How you respond in those moments defines whether you stand out or disappear like every other man who couldn't handle her fire. Here's what many men still don't understand. A woman doesn't expect you to solve her emotions. She doesn't even need you to fully understand them. What she craves deeply is your calm, your stability, your groundedness in the middle of her storm. Because when a woman is in her feelings, she's not looking for a mirror, she's looking for a rock. Think about this. Emotion is movement. It's energy shifting, surging, spilling out. When she comes to you in that energy, what she instinctively looks for is polarity. Not someone who matches her chaos, but someone who absorbs it with silence, strength, and clarity. That contrast is where attraction deepens. That contrast is where trust builds. But most men fail here. They argue, defend, explain, or worse, collapse. They take her feelings personally, and that's when things fall apart. A Stoic man, though, moves differently. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That applies especially when it comes to handling female emotion. If you respond with ego, with defensiveness, with neediness, you become just another man fighting for control. But if you respond with calm, with the kind of silence that listens, the kind of energy that contains rather than competes, she feels that. And that feeling, that's security, that's masculinity. That's what separates men who lead from boys who chase. Now, this doesn't mean you become passive. Being calm isn't about tolerating disrespect. It's about discernment. You set boundaries, but you do it without emotional reactivity. You don't yell to be heard. You lower your voice. You don't chase clarity. You let your stillness demand it. When she's venting, you don't jump in with solutions. You don't say, "You're overreacting." You observe. You acknowledge her state, not by fixing, but by standing firm. That quiet presence is often louder than any right words you could say. This is what older, experienced men tend to master. Not because they're better, but because they've seen enough storms to know which ones are worth running from and which ones simply need waiting out. They've learned that calm isn't a tactic, it's a lifestyle. And women feel that immediately. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is the core of what she finds irresistibly attractive. Your ability to stay composed when everything around her is chaos. Your refusal to escalate just to be heard. Your confidence in stillness, not noise. So if you're a man who's constantly wondering why emotional conversations always spiral, or why your presence doesn't calm her, ask yourself, are you meeting her energy? Or are you neutralizing it? Are you reacting or responding? Calm is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's control. And control, when rooted in self-respect and emotional maturity, is pure magnetism. If this truth hits you deep, if you're ready to lead with calm instead of conflict, drop a comment below and write, "I lead with calm." And don't even think about stopping here. What's coming next will flip the entire way you viewed older masculine energy and how it silently dominates the game of attraction. You won't want to miss it. Tricks number 7. Be the prize, not the pleaser. Let's get one thing straight. Women don't fall for the guy who constantly tries to win them over. They fall for the guy who knows he doesn't have to. This is where most men go wrong. They chase, overgive, overinvest, thinking that effort equals value. But in her mind, the more you try to please her, the less she needs to earn your presence. And when she doesn't have to earn it, she stops desiring it. Let's break this down. Women aren't wired to value what's handed to them too easily. They're wired to desire what's rare, what requires emotional effort. So when you're bending over backward to gain her affection, you're not being romantic, you're being replaceable. The moment you put her on a pedestal, you step off your own. Now contrast that with a man like Tyler, 34, a successful freelance designer in San Diego. He dated a woman named Rachel, 29, who was used to men treating her like a queen the second she showed interest. But Tyler was different. He didn't chase. He showed interest, sure, but he never overcommitted. He had boundaries. When Rachel would cancel plans last minute, he wouldn't react emotionally. He simply reallocated his time. No anger, no passive aggressiveness, just quiet detachment. That quiet detachment, it drew her in, because it forced her to ask, wait, why isn't he trying harder to keep me? That's the power of being the prize. You flip the frame from her being the goal to you being the one to be earned. And this isn't about playing games. It's about mastering your sense of value. Like the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. When you no longer need to be chosen, that's when you become the one they chase. Because a man who doesn't need validation commands curiosity. And curiosity, that's the gateway to attraction. Being the prize means having standards. It means you don't tolerate flaky behavior, disrespect, or lukewarm effort. You don't chase clarity from someone who's sending mixed signals. You recognize that love, respect, and effort should be mutual, not begged for. Think about it this way. When a man is always available, always complimenting, always adjusting his schedule to hers, he becomes predictable. And predictability kills tension. Tension is what creates that electric anticipation. Without it, your presence becomes background noise. Instead, be the man who has things going on, who has his own schedule, his own hobbies, his own goals. Don't text her good morning every day like clockwork. Don't always say yes to last-minute meetups. Don't cancel plans with friends just because she's suddenly free. Be the man who adds to her life, not the man who rearranges his for hers. Because here's the truth, she'll never say out loud. When you stop needing her validation, she starts craving your attention. That's not manipulation. That's nature. Now let's get practical. If you've already fallen into the pleaser trap, it's not too late. Start with silence. Pull back with grace. Focus on you. Get to the gym. Invest in your craft. Say no when it costs your self-respect. When she senses that shift, that you're no longer orbiting around her, it wakes her up. Remember, being the prize doesn't mean being arrogant or cold. It means being centered. It means leading with grounded confidence, not needy energy. It means walking away from what doesn't match your standard because you know you can attract better. So here's your moment of truth. Are you done trying to be her pleaser? Are you ready to be the prize? If yes, prove it in the comments. Drop this line below: I am the prize. And if you're serious about becoming that man who women respect, desire, and chase, then don't miss what's coming next. You're about to unlock something even more powerful. Stay with me. Tricks number 8. Touch her without touching her. What if I told you that the most powerful way to arouse a woman doesn't involve your hands? Most men focus on physical touch, how to hold her, how to kiss her, how to escalate. But older, wiser men, those who truly know the game, understand something deeper. The real seduction happens long before you ever lay a finger on her. It happens in the mind. Women are wired for emotional and psychological stimulation. What she feels in your presence or even just thinking about you is what drives her desire. Not the expensive dates, not the flowers, not even the smooth lines. It's the invisible energy. The words you don't say, the glances that linger, the tone of your voice when you speak slowly and intentionally. Touching her without touching her means you're creating an experience, one that lives in her head, not just in her bed. And this begins with presence. When you're fully grounded, not distracted, not fidgeting, not rushing to impress, she feels it and she relaxes. Because your energy speaks louder than your words. Like the Stoic Marcus Aurelius once said, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. That inner stillness is powerful. It disarms her. It makes her lean in. Speak with your eyes before your mouth. Maintain eye contact just long enough to create tension. Pause between words. Let silence breathe. You see, most guys try to fill the space. But the space is the seduction. It gives her mind a chance to wander, to imagine, to anticipate. And that anticipation, that's the real foreplay. Women fantasize not about the act, but about feeling wanted without being rushed. When you flirt with subtlety, when your words tease instead of tell, you plant thoughts in her mind that bloom long after the conversation ends. You become a sensation, not just a man. So how do you do this? You touch her through curiosity. Ask questions that reveal depth. Not what's your favorite color, but what's the most dangerous thing you've ever wanted to try? Make her think. Make her feel like no one's ever asked her that before. That's intimacy without proximity. You touch her through mystery. Don't overshare. Don't explain yourself too fast. Let her figure you out piece by piece. Each layer she uncovers should feel like a reward. You touch her through self-restraint. When you could go further physically or emotionally, but you choose to hold back, that moment of delay, that's where the hunger builds. Touch her by how you carry yourself, by the subtle confidence in your body language, the way you stand, the calm cadence of your speech, the ease in your smile. All of it sends a message: I don't chase, I attract. And that energy is addicting. Most men are in a rush to get something from her. But the man who gives her a feeling without needing anything in return becomes unforgettable. He lingers in her memory. He shows her that intimacy isn't just physical, it's psychological, it's spiritual. Remember, you don't need to touch her skin to touch her soul. So now I'll ask you, are you just trying to impress women with what you do, or are you captivating them with who you are? Drop your answer in the comments with this powerful affirmation: I move her mind. And listen, what comes next will show you how to unlock the part of her most men never reach. Stay close, you're about to go even deeper. Tricks number 9. Disappear to dominate. There's a paradox most men never understand. The less you're present, the more powerful your presence becomes. Sounds strange, right? But to a woman's psyche, absence isn't just mysterious, it's magnetic. When you're always available, always replying, always initiating, your value starts to dilute. And over time you go from being a force to be reckoned with to just another guy in her notifications. Disappearing when done right is not avoidance, it's dominance. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts revolve around her, when your time, energy, and decisions orbit her, you lose your center. Disappearing is how you reclaim it. It's not about punishing her, it's about rebalancing you. Let's break this down with a real-life scenario. Ethan, 34, had been seeing Natalie, 30, for 3 months. In the beginning, she was the one chasing, texting him good mornings, making plans. But then Ethan, like many men, got too comfortable. He stopped living for himself and started living around her. He became reactive, available, predictable, and she felt it. That slow drip of interest fading. So Ethan did something radical. He disappeared. He didn't ghost her. He didn't play games. He simply stopped prioritizing her and started prioritizing his mission. He didn't text for 4 days, then a week, and when he came back he wasn't apologizing. He was grounded, focused, alive. And suddenly Natalie was the one chasing again. See, women don't just want attention, they want to earn it. They want to feel like being in your world is a privilege, not an entitlement. Disappearing reminds them of that truth. But here's the subtle art: it only works when you actually live for something greater than her. If your silence is just a tactic, she'll sense the manipulation. But if your life is full, your purpose, your passions, your peace, your absence becomes a statement. Stoic wisdom teaches that detachment is not indifference, it's clarity. You're not running from her, you're running toward yourself. This is not about ghosting, it's not about childish games. It's about understanding the value of space, of silence, of not being available just because she snaps her fingers. When you disappear with intention, you dominate the frame, you shift the dynamic. Suddenly she's wondering where you are, what you're thinking, and most dangerously, who you're thinking about. And in that gap, desire grows. Now let's bring this home. If you're tired of being the one always reaching out, always giving more, always trying to hold things together, ask yourself this: when was the last time you chose silence over seeking? Because when you become a man of presence, your absence becomes powerful. Drop your thoughts below. Type "I disappear with power" in the comments if you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting. And don't blink. The next trick flips the entire game, and she won't see it coming. Tricks number 10. Live like a king, think like a stoic. What happens when a woman meets a man she can't manipulate? She stops playing games and starts chasing. But here's the twist: that man doesn't need to play games either, because his life is the game, and he's already winning. That's what living like a king means. We're not talking about Instagram status or renting luxury cars to flex for strangers. No, a true king doesn't need an audience, he needs purpose. His presence demands attention, not because he seeks it, but because he's mastered himself. His calm rattles the insecure. His silence speaks louder than words. And what makes him irresistible isn't just his power, it's his peace. Now combine that with Stoic philosophy. What do you get? Unshakable attraction. See, most men today chase women, obsess over replies, spiral into self-doubt if a text doesn't come back. But a Stoic man, a king in mind and posture, he doesn't collapse under uncertainty. He doesn't beg. He observes, learns, waits, moves when he decides to move. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." A Stoic doesn't perform value, he embodies it. That's why women are magnetized by older men who live with intention. These men know who they are. They don't rush intimacy. They don't need approval. Their time is scarce, their energy rare, and that makes them feel dangerously attractive. Let me paint you a scene. Imagine a man who starts his day in silence. No phone, no scrolling, just breath, clarity, and focus. He trains his body because it's his temple. He sharpens his mind because it's his weapon. He tends to his purpose before tending to anyone's drama. And when a woman enters his life, she doesn't find a man hoping to be chosen. She finds a man who's already chosen himself. She sees how he moves deliberate, grounded, how he listens without reacting, how he speaks without oversharing, how he doesn't seek comfort in her affection, but creates comfort within his own being. This man is not emotionless, he's emotionally sovereign. Seneca wrote, "A wise man is content with himself," and that contentment, that is the most masculine, sexually attractive energy on earth. Because it tells her, "I don't need you, but I want you and I choose you for now." That creates a dynamic where you lead with presence, not pressure, with grounded energy, not grasping hands. And that energy, it changes everything. She doesn't text back, you don't flinch. She tests your boundaries, you don't explain, you enforce. She pulls away, you let her go, and that's when she comes back stronger. Because in a world full of insecure, reactive men, the one who lives like a king and thinks like a Stoic becomes the exception. He becomes a drug, and she will crave that dose of grounded masculinity long after the texts stop. She will remember how you made her feel not obsessed over her, but invited her into your world with strength, not supplication. This isn't a trick, it's a way of life. So if you take only one thing from this entire video, take this: build your world so solid that no woman could ever shake it. Own your mind so deeply that no emotion could ever drown it. Live with purpose so strong that love becomes an enhancement, not a need. Let others chase attention. You chase legacy. Let others text endlessly. You speak through your actions. Let others burn out trying to be enough. You become more than expected and need less than most. That's how kings live. And that's why women can't forget them. You've just unlocked 10 subtle but powerful strategies that older, grounded men use to stir deep desire in women without chasing, without overextending, and without losing themselves. From the stillness that commands attention to the mystery that draws her in, and the Stoic mindset that keeps you centered, these are the traits of a man who leads, not pleases. But this video wasn't just about her. It was about you, becoming the kind of man who attracts by presence, not performance. A man who owns his world and never begs for space in someone else's. If that resonates with you, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the kind of high-value, no BS content you won't find anywhere else. And if you're ready to take it deeper, to access member-only videos, behind-the-scenes insights and tools designed for serious masculine growth, hit that join button and become a channel member today. This is where average ends and mastery begins. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay dangerous.